Knott's Berry Farm is in shambles right now. This park is kind of a disaster. So today we're going to do something a little different. We're kind of going to have a discussion video about this park and the problems and concerns I have with it going forward in today's video. Before we get started, please like this video. Please leave a comment down below. What do you think of the current state of Knott's Berry Farm? Are you happy with the way that Cedar Fair / Six Flags has been treating it? Or are you concerned and alarmed, just like me? And please subscribe to this YouTube channel. At the time of this recording, we just crossed 7,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate it. I would love to hit 8,000, and then we can start the push for 10K. That's absolutely unbelievable. Thank you everyone so much. So let's dig into the current state of Knott's Berry Farm. The first major topic I want to discuss is Montezooma's revenge, and I'm going to try to talk about this without getting too upset. But this situation is very frustrating in my opinion. As a Knott's Berry Farm regular, as someone who grew up in Southern California, I love Montezooma's revenge. A lot of people love Montezooma's revenge, and in 2022, Knott's Berry Farm announced that it would be closing for a refurbishment, which is like, okay, that's a normal announcement for a park to make. Knott's Berry Farm usually doesn't do that though. They usually just do their refurb, you know? Like they're one of the few parks that actually post their refurb calendar on their website, which I greatly appreciate as a local. I wish more regional amusement parks would do something like that, where they let you know what rides will be closed before you get there or before you plan a trip. I really appreciate that. This Montezooma's Revenge closure was not a refurbishment, so it feels like they lied to us. The way that it happened was actually really bizarre. Originally, they announced it was going to be a refurb, and then they were planning to close it like 3 days later, maybe like the next day, I don't even remember. I actually went to the park on the first day of the closure, and then like the next day, they announced that it'll be reopened for like a month. Because the park knew what they were doing. They knew that Montezooma's Revenge would never be the same, but they didn't tell that to the guests. So I'm very grateful that they did that, because I still got my last rides on Montezuma's Revenge. I remember going to the park specifically for Montezuma's Revenge before it closed, which thank God I did that, because this ride, it's gone now. Like, they took out the loop. I don't even know what Montezuma the Forbidden Fortress is supposed to be. The lack of communication is beyond unacceptable, in my opinion. Like, all we know is that it's supposed to be a reimagined version of Montezuma's Revenge with a randomized launch sequence, which those words on paper sound cool, but I have no idea what that looks like in practice. The only animation they released of Montezuma is the new train, which it looks like it has comfort colors, which is a major downgrade, because the old school Schwarzkopf trains that Montezuma has been running for literal generations is the very minimal ratcheting lap bar, which is really cool. And yeah, the loop is gone. They just took it out. So when that happened, it caused a lot of panic. They were like, what do you mean? You know, that's a defining moment on the attraction. And also, the manufacturer of Montezuma's Revenge doesn't exist anymore. They went out of business. Schwarzkopf is no longer building roller coasters. So the loop is gone. There's no bringing it back. I don't know what's happening because the park hasn't told me what's happening. All I know are like the rumors, and I don't know what to believe. There's some discussion that removing the loop was a mistake made by the manufacturer of this new coaster, or by some construction company or something. There might be some litigation going on about it, like in a courtroom, which like cool, but like, can you be more open about it? Like, this Montezuma the Forbidden Fortress has been delayed from 2023 to 2024, and now it's supposed to open in 2025, but it is currently late March 2025 at the time of this recording, and the ride has looked the exact same for actual years. Like, there's zero progress as of my last visit to Knott's Berry Farm. So I would be very surprised if the Forbidden Fortress actually opens this year, even though they announced that it would. They literally re-released the same animation to tell us that it was going to open in 2025. And I don't think that's gonna happen. So it's just absolutely unacceptable to close one of your oldest roller coaster with no warning and then not have a stable replacement plan for it. This park only has 10 roller coasters, which is a lot, but like this park gets so much attendance that 10 coasters and a lot of them are pretty low capacity. So Knott's Berry Farm needs rides to keep people off the midway, to keep lines moving, because this park just gets so crowded. It gets unbelievably crowded. So closing Montezooma is a complete disaster. Montezooma was only one of the 5 thrill coasters in this park, and it has been closed for years. So Knott's has been running with 4 thrill coasters, since 2022. It is just beyond frustrating. I don't even know what company is designing Forbidden Fortress, but they're doing an awful job. I think some people believe it's Kumbak, which I'm not gonna lie, I've never heard of this company before. I literally just Googled them, and Google says that they specialize in modifying existing rides, but like, they're not doing a great job with Montezooma's Revenge, which is 100% unacceptable. And like, if we take a look at one of Knott's Berry Farm's sister parks, even before the merger, Cedar Point did not have a problem throwing Zamperla under the bus when Top Thrill 2 did not open for its opening season. So I don't understand why Knott's Berry Farm can't do the same. Like, I know a lot of people criticize Cedar Point for doing that to Zamperla, but they didn't deliver. I think that's fair. Obviously, I was one of Cedar Point's guests in 2024 who did not get to ride Top Thrill 2, and I wasn't really upset about it, because I knew it wasn't Cedar Point's fault. Because I'm not happy that they went with Zamperla for that project, because they didn't have experience with a ride like Top Thrill Dragster, and obviously with a ride like Top Thrill 2. So I'm not surprised that they failed, at least in the opening year. But my anger is directed towards the manufacturer, who disappointed the park and by extension disappointed me as a guest of Cedar Point in 2024. In the case of Knott's Berry Farm, there's no communication. They have not told anybody what is happening. All we know is that it took out the loop. The ride has been delayed 3 years. That's insane. 3 years. If Knott's put out a statement like Cedar Point did, throwing a manufacturer under the bus, I would be less upset. I would be like, okay, something is happening. The park is trying to work with this company, fix this ride, or to get Forbidden Fortress open. Like, at this point, I don't think the Forbidden Fortress is ever gonna open. It's a disaster. And then they can't bring back Montezooma's Revenge because, as I said, Schwarzkopf is gone. So it's just an absolute nightmare. When they announced the Forbidden Fortress, they should have released an animation of what the changes would look like. They should have announced the company that was designing the Forbidden Fortress. Like, literally all we had was that one animation that I've probably showed you too many times already. But Knott's Berry Farm's coaster lineup is lacking capacity, and this park cannot afford to have 1/5 of their thrill coasters closed for multiple years. So I really hope this gets resolved, because it's ridiculous. They should have just let Montezuma's Revenge continue as normal, because literally like a year or two before they closed Montezuma's Revenge, it was given the status as an Ace Coaster landmark. So it's kind of ridiculous that as soon as that happened, they're like, all right, let's get rid of it, you know? And like I said, they announced it as a refurb, not as a closure, even though they knew it was gonna be a closure, because Forbidden Fortress was not gonna be Montezuma's Revenge. The Montezuma's Revenge ride experience is gone forever, and that sucks a lot. That's really upsetting. I don't know if I'm ever gonna forgive Knott's Berry Farm for the way that they handled this situation. It's absolutely ridiculous. But we're gonna move on to another problematic launch coaster in this park. We're gonna talk about Xcelerator for a little bit. I just wanna know what the long-term plan is for Xcelerator, because obviously with the closure and the renovation of Top Thrill Dragster into Top Thrill 2, as we just discussed, that's another hydraulic launch coaster. And then of course, as soon as Cedar Fair got their hands on King Ka, they ripped that thing to the ground, which that's a whole other thing that we can talk about. Not in this video though. That is depressing. So now Xcelerator is the only hydraulic launch coaster in the chain, as far as I know. So I am worried. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know if they're gonna reuse parts from Top Thrill Dragster and King Ka to just let this version of Xcelerator operate as long as it possibly can. But I'm pretty sure that was Cedar Fair's game plan for Nighthawk. When Firehawk was removed from Kings Island, they literally sent a train from Firehawk to Carowinds. I saw it sitting under the brake run for Fury 325. That did not work out. Firehawk closed in 2019 before Orion opened in 2020. And then when I visited Carowinds for the first time in 2022, I didn't get to ride Nighthawk because it was closed. And then I visited the park again in 2024 And again, I couldn't ride Nighthawk because it was closed for all 3 days of my trip. So I was 0 for 4 with Nighthawk at Carowinds. So using Firehawk's spare parts did not make the attraction more reliable from my experience. I'm not a local to Carowinds. If you ask locals to Carowinds, they might say different. I'm not sure. And then, of course, in 2024, Nighthawk closed anyway. So I'm worried that Xcelerator is on the Nighthawk arc right now. As of my last visit to Knott's Berry Farm, they finally reconstructed the American train, the red, white, and blue train, and it has like brand new restraints that are actually really nice. My ride on Xcelerator on that train is honestly the smoothest I've felt that ride run in actual years. It was crazy. So that was really nice. Putting work on this attraction, but I'm not sure how long the new Six Flags Mega Corporation is gonna allow Knott's Berry Farm to do that. Like the way that they closed King Ka is very upsetting. If they do that to this attraction, I'm genuinely gonna crash out because I love Xcelerator. I just want to know what the long-term plan is for this attraction, because I would be very surprised if the long-term plan is just to keep it as is. I don't know if the long-term plan is to remove it and then replace it with a higher capacity thrill coaster, which honestly, I could get behind that idea if they handle it correctly, because they can't do a Top Thrill 2 refurb because there's just no space. Where a Spike would go is literally where Supreme Scream is standing, and also Top Thrill 2 was a disaster, as we talked about, at least in the opening year. Maybe if they could get a company to design an LSM launch that could get over the 200-foot top hat without a spike, that could be a possibility, because Xcelerator is literally less than half of the height of Top Thrill Dragster, so that might be more achievable than doing that for an attraction like Top Thrill Dragster, which obviously needed the swing launch and the spike. So I'm just very concerned as a fan of Xcelerator. I try to ride this ride as much as I can, because I'm paranoid that one day it'll just close and I'll never get to ride it ever again. Xcelerator has a gnarly habit of closing for months and sometimes years at a time. Like, I think it was 2019, whenever the last extended downtime was, and then they repainted the ride. It used to be this pink color, and now the new colors look absolutely amazing. But basically, right after they repainted the attraction, it went down for an extended period of time again. But they had to get it back up because they just invested in a new color scheme for the attraction. So honestly, I think the repaint might have saved Xcelerator from removal or from a refurbishment like Dragster to Top Thrill 2, but who's to say? Once again, Knott's Berry Farm really struggles to communicate with their guests. Like, that's one thing I admire about Cedar Point. I wish Knott's Berry Farm took a similar approach that Cedar Point did. Just be open and honest with your guests. Alright, moving on to the third topic I'd like to discuss today. The lack of investments in this park is kind of disappointing. I mean, Knott's Berry Farm has like something every single year, but usually it's a smaller scale thing. In the last few years, we were supposed to get Montezooma and the Forbidden Fortress. We got a refurbished kids area with Camp Snoopy and the new Snoopy's Tender Paw Twister, which is actually really well done. I do appreciate that. Next year, we already know we're getting a water park expansion. And in the years before that, they refurbished Bigfoot Rapids into Calico River Rapids. They refurbished Voyage to the Iron Reef into Knott's Berry Tales. We got Soul Spin not too long ago, and we got those drop slides at Soak City. And then, of course, the last major thrill coaster was Hang Time in 2018. As one of the highest attended Cedar Fair parks, it's kind of disappointing that we don't get more large-scale investments on the level of a park like Kings Island, Cedar Point, Carowinds, or Canada's Wonderland. And really the reason for that is the lack of land at Knott's Berry Farm. This park is very much landlocked, but in my opinion, it is in desperate need of more capacity, because the three most popular thrill rides are Xcelerator, Hang Time, and Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider has notoriously one of the worst wait times in the entire theme park industry. Xcelerator always runs one train and is pretty low capacity, and Hang Time only sits 16 people per train and is also pretty low capacity. The only saving grace in terms of thrill rides at Knott's is Silver Bullet. That has by far the most bearable wait time in the entire park. Knott's Berry Farm is in desperate need of more capacity. When those Giga rumors were going around, I got really excited. One, because a freaking Giga coaster was supposed to come to Knott's, and two, because capacity would really help out. It would be a major draw. That line would be moving because the trains are so big and they seat so many people, just like Silver Bullet, and it would probably be the most popular ride in the park just because of the sheer scale of the ride. When the plans for like the mini hyper surface, I was like, okay, that's fine. It'll still be an awesome fit for capacity at this park, but we haven't heard anything about that in a long time, and now with the merger, I'm really concerned for the future of Knott's Berry Farm. I am worried that the new chain is going to prioritize Six Flags Magic Mountain over Knott's Berry Farm. I don't think if the Giga project ever happens, they might just take it up to Magic Mountain instead of having it at Knott's Berry Farm, which is really disappointing because I think Knott's Berry Farm is a better park. I think they deserve the Giga more than Six Flags Magic Mountain. That's just my opinion. I would be thrilled if a Giga came to Southern California, no matter which park it would be, but in my perfect world, I would put it at Knott's. Especially with that leaked layout that came out a couple years ago. That looks so cool. It looked so fun, and it's kind of disappointing that that's not a reality. Especially with the Olympics coming up in 2028, those are going to be in Los Angeles. I feel like both Knott's Berry Farm and Six Flags Magic Mountain are going to need to have a major new ride to draw in those tourists. And a Giga for either Knott's or Magic Mountain would be an awesome fit. That's what I'm hoping for. But Knott's is really dragging their feet on like a brand new thrill ride because I feel like corporate isn't going to give them that when they still have Montezooma's Revenge kind of just sitting there, abandoned, in shambles. It's just absolutely upsetting in my opinion. So that was a quick little discussion on the current state of Knott's Berry Farm. What do you think about these 3 topics that we discussed? Are you just as frustrated as I am? Am I being too harsh on this park? Do I need to chill out? Please let me know down in the comments below. Please like this video, please subscribe, and I will catch you later.